Welcome, everyone, to Breathwork for Anxiety. You could have a tagline for this called Why You're Exhausted and What to Do About It. And the simple answer is just to breathe. So let's start with some grounding breath work right now. Let's take 3 breaths to arrive. So go ahead and inhale into your nose, big, deep inhale in the nose, and exhale out the mouth. Just arrive in this moment. Next, inhale in the nose. Hold it at the top. Find the tension in your body and go ahead and exhale that tension out your mouth. Again, inhale into your nose, hold at the top and come into presence. Relax everything. Put something in your mouth that you don't need anymore and go ahead and let it go out the mouth. When I was 29 years old, I had my first panic attack. I didn't know what it was. It was so severe, I thought I was having a heart attack. I ended up in the back of an ambulance and in the hospital with a big medical bill and lots of questions because they said, there's nothing wrong with your EKG, all the tests. It was just anxiety. At 29 years old, I had no idea that I had that level of anxiety. So I'm Sara Thornhill. I'm a personal power coach, an author, and a speaker. And I used to suffer from hidden anxiety. I didn't even know what high functioning anxiety was. We all know what high functioning alcoholism is. We know what high functioning autism is. Well, there's such a thing as high functioning anxiety. And I'm here today to be your not so silent partner in helping you shut down the inner noise that's been running your life. Today, we're going to talk about that mental board of directors I like to call the itty bitty shitty committee. You know that, right? You know that voice that says, you're behind. That one that whispers, you should not have said that. And of course, you've got that board member, that gold star overachiever that yells, you'll never be good enough unless you do more, unless you be more, unless you achieve more. And what do? We listen, we push, we perform, we succeed, we nod and smile while burning out on the inside. So let me be really blunt. High functioning anxiety is not about being nervous. It's about being stuck in your nervous system, stuck in survival mode. But it looks like success on paper. So let's do something different today. And let's get to the root of it. Here's the science. Here's what's happening inside of you when you have high functioning anxiety. I like to call this the 3 levels of resilience. You've got your body, your breath, and then your mind in that order. Because this is how we developed. First, our bodies developed in utero before we ever took a breath. Most people don't know that it actually takes between 3 and 5 weeks for babies to learn how to breathe. But our minds take the better part of a decade to develop. That's our subconscious. Modern life, however, has got the mind, that thing that develops last, controlling the body and the brain, which is our baseline, safety. So we want to be able to flip that on its head. We want to be able to give you a solution of safety, of being able to recover in those micro moments of panic, even if you've never had a panic attack like the one I described. This is about rewiring those thoughts, rewiring the itty bitty shitty committee. So before we dive into the guided practice, I'm going to give you some really simple, what I call pocket-sized tools that you don't need a pocket for. What about your itty bitty shitty committee? What are those 1 or 2 or 3 repetitive thoughts that you hear all the time? maybe something that I mentioned, maybe something else. And what do you want to hear instead? What do you want to hear instead? So as we move into this guided practice, I want you to find where you can feel that in the body. I want you to breathe in that thought and actually think it. So it's those 3 levels of resilience. You're actually embodying the thought, breathing the thought, and thinking the thought. So this practice is safe for most people. Of course, we always recommend you consult your provider before practicing. And if for any reason you feel some tingling or some sensation that's uncomfortable, modify, slow down, or just simply step back and observe. So first, let's talk about belly breathing. Maybe you've heard of belly breathing. Maybe you can already drop into it right now. Your belly is actually not breathing. What's happening is, if you think about the way that the rib cage is shaped, that's essentially the full capacity of the lungs. But typically, we're not breathing with the full capacity of our lungs. We're breathing from the upper chest. Well, our diaphragm is this kind of like parachute shaped object. And it's a muscle that we really don't have much proprioception for, much interoception. So when it contracts, it flattens and it ends up pushing out our intestines. So it looks like the belly is breathing, but really it's just full lung, um, full lung expansion down so that you're actually like expanding the lungs down all the way to the bottom of the ribs. So let's try some belly breathing right now, especially as women, we tend to like hold a lot of tension there in our bellies and our lower backs. And the science actually shows that when we just start breathing from the belly regularly, this can actually really help with lower back pain. Because if you think about it, it's just on the other side of the body. So I'm going to do some measured breathing with you, and we're going to breathe everything in and out of the nose. Why? Because the nose is lined with cells that produce nitric oxide. This will naturally relax you. When we breathe in and out of the nose, it creates a lot of nitric oxide here in our nasal cavity, and that's going to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's your ability to rest and digest. Whereas you've probably heard of fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system. This is that opposite, the rest and digest. So take a big, deep inhale into the nose. Let the belly puff, relax. And then exhale out the nose. Push with your abdominals. Push all that air out. Push it all out. Hold at the bottom. Focus on the belly into the nose. 2, 3, 4. Out the nose. 3, 2, 1. In the nose. Let the belly completely expand out the nose. Slow, controlled. You got this. In the nose. 2, 3, 4. Out the nose. Slow. All the way out. In the nose. 2, 3, 4. Out the nose. 3, 2, 1. Last one. Fill it all the way up. Hold. Let it go out the mouth. Let the shoulders drop. Let your breathing return to normal and just notice what's shifted in the body. Do you have a little bit more clarity? Do you feel like you have a little bit more control over your environment? We really can't control much of our environment unless we can physically move things around. So when we're feeling out of control, this is a fantastic way to basically have an open-eyed meditation. You just inhale the same amount as you exhale and you activate the belly. in and out of the nose. When we get stressed, we breathe in and out of the mouth, and we breathe from the top of the lungs. I mean, I say this sometimes, and it might give you a little chuckle. The only difference between a panic attack and an orgasm is the way that we're thinking about it. It's a matter of safety. When we're breathing in and out of the mouth, like for those two high stress examples, we are not activating the parasympathetic nervous system. We're activating sympathetic nervous system by breathing in and out of the mouth. So if any of you practice holotropic breathing, you might notice that a lot of it is done in and out of the mouth. Wim Hof, some of the breathwork classes that you might have gone to like release trauma. Yes, please be on camera for your safety. If you're not off camera, we will have to remove you. This is just a safety issue for everyone. So let's do the second practice. So that's simple belly breathing, and you're just inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4. Now we're going to extend the exhale, and this is a magical way. So we're going to combine the belly breathing and also extending the exhale. All right. And everything's going to, again, be in and out of the nose. When we extend the exhale, that lets our parasympathetic nervous system know that it's okay to come online. Think about when you like, or if you sit down on a beach and have a nice cold beverage on vacation. So sometimes when I'm feeling really charged up, I'll actually do this artificially just to let my nervous system know it's okay. You can relax. So it's okay to go in the nose and out the mouth, maybe for that first one, just like we did at the beginning. But for this one, we're going to practice in and out of the nose. All right. So inhale into your nose, 2, 3, 4, out the nose, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, out the nose, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, out the nose, slow, control, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let your breathing return to normal. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a different alternative to that. Just in case you're really charged up, this will help you control it. And it does involve the mouth in kind of a weird way. Some of you might remember straw breath, but a lot of clients say, oh, I remember that and I never think to use it. So go ahead and inhale into the nose, 2, 3, 4. As you exhale, make a tiny little straw. 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep inhale into your nose. Use the belly, make a straw. Slow, controlled. Let it all the way out on your own time. And do one more on your own because this one's very personal. So if you're feeling out of control, you can use that measured breath because it'll give you something to focus on and something to feel like you can control your body, you can control your mind, you can control your breath all at the same time. If you're using the straw breath, it's great to just inhale into the nose. And then I make a little whistle sometimes just because it lets me know I'm actually doing it. Or You don't have to make the whistle. Just slow out the mouth. And that constriction will actually make you slow down. All right. So just to recap what we've gone over, how to use the belly in order to actually inflate the lungs completely, how to extend the exhale. So when we just did this simple belly breathing, we were doing measured breathing. So like 4 counts in, 4 counts out. You can also do 6 counts in or 8 counts in and 8 counts out. Just make them the same. This creates a coherence between the brain and the heart. It balances the nervous system. When we extend the exhale, it's going to activate parasympathetic. So if you're in a panicky moment, you're going to want to inhale in and out of the nose only. And if you're having trouble really extending the exhale, then make that tiny little straw because it will constrict the amount of air that will actually be able to come out. All right. So the last one that I'm going to offer is a little bit more activating. And this comes from the Kundalini tradition, and it has been scientifically proven to actually allow you to absorb more oxygen into the system. So there's several different, I'm trained in yoga and breathwork, and there are several different ways to do this breath, some of which you might be familiar with. This one's a little bit different take on it. It's my take on it. So everything is going to come in and out of the nose, whereas you might have practiced some that are in the nose and out the mouth if you're familiar with it. But we're going to use a double sniff in the nose and an exhale out the nose. Please don't begin if you know it, because this can be very activating. And I'm going to time this. I'm going to help everybody by using an actual timer. And then we're going to do a few rounds just to ease you into the practice. So this is why it's really important to have your cameras on, because I want to be able to see you. And don't worry, we're going to open it up for questions very soon, just in case you have any questions. So this is the third and final practice. Remember why you showed up. Remember those stories that the itty bitty shitty committee is telling you, and call in what you want to embody. Feel that in your body. Where do you feel that positive statement that you want to replace with those itty bitty shitty committee thoughts? Every time you inhale this statement. Allow it to fill you and be thinking it at the same time. All right. So let's do a cleansing breath to start, and then everything's going to be in and out of the nose. You're going to go in the nose. Hold at the top, exhale, let something go, let the shoulders drop, push all that stale air out, push. And we're going to go double sniff, inhale, exhale. It's going to be in, out, 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 in, out. Everything in the nose, everything out the nose, in, out. One more. Let it settle. Notice the edges of your body. Notice the edges of your breath. Notice the edges of your mind. That was round 1. It was less than 30 seconds. So if that was very intense for you, please listen to your body. If you start having any panicky thoughts, just coast, just let it be. Okay. This is activating, but it's safe for anyone. And I read every single intake. No one said they had any heart palpitations, high blood pressure, vascular issues, anxiety issues that were really, really bad. So this should be safe for everybody. Of course, we advise that you consult with a doctor, and I'm watching you. So we're going to go for round 2. It's going to be a little bit longer. Inhale into the nose. We're going to do a cleansing breath first. Out the mouth. Now everything in and out of the nose. Sniff, sniff, out. In, out. In the nose, out the nose. In the nose, out the nose. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. You got this. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Slowing it down a bit. In, out. In, out. Yes, you can. Embody that thought. Breathe in that thought. Really be with that thought. Think that thought. Dance with that thought. Last one, big inhale. Put something in your mouth you don't need anymore and let it go out the mouth. Notice the edges of your body. Notice the edges of your breath. Notice the edges of your mind. What has shifted? That was less than a minute. What's different? You're welcome to write it in the chat. I'm going to give a little pause just in case somebody wants to share something. And then we're going to go for round 3. Einstein said that time is relative. Eileen said feeling very relaxed. Oh, nice. Einstein says that time is relative. There's a minute on a hot stove and a minute with your love, right? Everything is relative. All right. So Jeannie said she feels a little high. Priscilla says she feels a little charged. This is very energizing, but it's also balancing and it's totally safe because we're going in and out of the nose. And that double sniff actually allows the hemoglobin to carry more oxygen to your cells, which is why you might feel energized, energetic. And it's all about the thought. So remember the itty bitty shitty committee thoughts. Remember to embody, breathe, and think. Those are the 3 levels of resilience: body, breath, and mind. Embody, breathe, and think the thought that you want to have during the moments of stress. What's the thought that you want to have all the time? So we're going to go for round 3. Into the nose, out the mouth, and sniff, sniff, let it go. Sniff, sniff, out. Sniff, sniff, out. Sniff, sniff, out. Sniff, sniff, out. In, out. All in and out of the nose. Breathe in your thought. Embody your thought. Think that thought. Be with that thought. Dance with the thought. Yes, you can. In, out. In, out. In, out. Yes, you can. You are so powerful. In, out. In, out. You are the medicine. In, out. We're slowing it down a little bit. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Breathe in that thought. Be with that thought. In, out. Dance with that thought. Embody that thought. In, out, in, out. Last little push. Yes, you can. Inhale into the nose, big, deep, full breath in. Put something in your mouth you don't fucking need anymore and let it go. Yes, yes. You are the medicine. Notice the edges of your body. Notice the edges of your breath. Notice the edges of your mind. You did this. You showed up today. So we're going to open it up for questions. And before we do that, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. If you are a leader, a high achiever, if you feel like your mind never stops spinning and you have those conversations replaying in your head at night, if you feel like you're always saying yes when you mean no, then this work is for you. You may have high functioning anxiety. So I'm going to be leading a special workshop, same time in May, on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. It'll be 3 parts, about the same amount of time, but lots more actionable tools and lots more interaction. You're going to learn what's happening in your brain and body and why the sleep, the self-care, and the slowing down actually feels impossible. And you're going to walk away with lots of pocket-sized techniques to stop those spiraling thoughts and find that real calm. So you might have heard of breath work, but it doesn't have to be work. In fact, so much can change through your breathing. When you practice, it's time to discover that you are worthy. It's time to exhale the overwhelm.